Hey friends, this is Andy Liggett again, here with Ruth chapter 2. So I didn't say it last time, but what I did say last time was that Ruth set out in what I think is maybe the biggest step in faith that anybody in the Bible did. And I know that there's a lot of people that stepped out in faith, but I didn't really highlight why it was such a big deal for Ruth to take such a step of faith when she decided to stay with Naomi. So we're in chapter 2 now, and I just want to highlight just what a predicament she's in. She is a woman, which is quite a predicament in that time. And she's not just a woman, but she is a widow. She's not just a widow, she is a widow foreigner. And she's not just a widow foreigner, she's from a land that the people of Israel did not like. Not only that, she's barren, which is such a harsh word. But she's been married for 10 years or so, I have heard. I should go through the scripture and make sure that's true. Write a comment if I just made that up. I had heard somewhere that she had been barren for a long time. I'm gonna stop using the word barren now. But that but yeah, she's in a predicament. So her prospects for actually finding some way out of this predicament was not, it wasn't a very likely scenario. So she goes into a field, a random field, and it says it just so happens that it was the field of Boaz. Pretty much everywhere I've looked has said that in Hebrew, the Hebrew people did in fact have the ability to communicate ironic understatement. It just happened to be in the field of Boaz. Pretty much everybody believes that this was the hand of God saying, go to this field. You know, that she was destined to be in this field, and God somehow arranged it so that that can happen. So that's where she went. And one of the predicaments that I didn't mention is that this was a very dangerous time. It said in chapter 1 that this is the time of the judges. And Judges says everybody did what was right in their own eyes. It was a lawless time. It was a dangerous time. And for pretty much everybody that talks to her says, you're gonna have to be careful in those fields because there's men there and something bad is gonna happen. But she goes there, and Boaz says, whose woman is that? Which I think is a very funny way of saying, who is that? Whose woman is that? And they said, that is Naomi's daughter-in-law, and she has been working all day and all night, which shows a little bit more of the predicament that she's in, because even if she works all day and all night, she's probably not going to glean enough food for her and her mother-in-law to survive. But she's going to try anyways. She's really stepping out in faith. And Boaz even says it. He says, I have seen what you did for your mother-in-law, and I think that you should be rewarded for it. And so he says, why don't you stay in this field? I'm going to protect you. I'm going to make sure that nobody gives you any trouble, not the men and not the people that are keeping the fields. I'm just going to make it so that not only are you going to be safe, but I'm going to make it easier for you to get the food. He said, why don't you not go to the outer perimeter of the field? I want you to stay right with my workers and glean with them. And then after that, he said, I want you to not only do that, but after they pick up all the grain in the bundles, I want you to glean from the bundles. And then he gives her water, and then he feeds her. And it may not jump out to you in the text, but Boaz is being ridiculously generous. So it's a pretty incredible passage here. And I think at the end of the chapter is probably the most exciting, because she brings an ephod an ephod of barley back to her mother-in-law, which I found out is about a 5-gallon bucket full of barley, which they say easily could be food for her and Naomi for 2 weeks. And she sees all this food and she says, where have you been gleaning? And she says, Boaz. I went to Boaz's field. And she goes, he's our redeemer, or he is one of our kinsman's redeemers. So really cool. Chapter 2 is an amazing chapter. And yeah, well, stick with me till chapter 3. All right, friends, see you tomorrow.